Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Praise be to Allah. We praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is a truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, none can show him guidance. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to another live edition of our program Ask Huda, and our contact informations are as follows: area code 002 then 0228555 Alternatively, area code 002 then 010054693323. The WhatsApp number is area code 001-347-80600 2625 actually. And we're live also on my page, M Salah Official. I would like to begin by answering and tackling some of the questions which are pending from the previous episode, then take some of the recent questions that we received today. The first question is from Tasneem Mari, who says, I have a question about aqiqah. It is the duty of the father of a child, but is there any wrong on the grandparents who pay the aqiqah for their third grandchild from their second son's marriage? Whether the first or the second or third, it's a hibah, it's a gift. If any person offers you to pay for the aqiqah, is that permissible? It is permissible, since the mission is accomplished. The mission is to offer the aqiqah because the Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ مُرْتَهَنٌ بِعَقِيقَتِهِ. Every newborn is mortgaged to his or to her aqiqah, whether their health, their safety, their well-being. So once it is offered and people eat out of it, the poor get their share, the mission is accomplished. Whether it is done through you or through somebody else, whether he's a parent, grandparent, or a friend, it doesn't matter. Sometimes, and whether you're actually capable to do it yourself, able financially, or you're not. Sometimes people are financially capable, but they get it as a gift. Do it. The mission is accomplished. Many sisters who have plenty of gold, ornaments, and their zakah is in tens of thousands, but they never pay zakah because their husbands, they take care of that. Is that okay? It is okay, as long as there is an agreement. She knows that somebody is paying the zakah for her, then it is waived. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hamid from the United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Hamid, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so, Jazakallah khair. I think I have 3 questions. The first question is, Shia, can I pray next to Shia, whereby the Shia is only, or can I allow a Shia to join my That's the first part. And the second part,
Hamid, with regards to your first question, Hamid, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sure.
I heard you are asking about Shia, but the question isn't clear. I would appreciate if you can repeat it.
Sorry, say that again?
Would you please, repeat your first question about the Shia? Your voice is disconnecting.
Yes. Oh, sorry. So, the first question is, can I pray next to a Shia?
Can you pray next to a Shia?
Okay. Next to a Shia. Yeah, Shia is the one leading the Salah.
Okay, now you're saying something different. You said he's leading the prayer, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one
so
leading the
you're asking about praying behind an imam who is following Shiism.
Yeah, whereby I see he has the stone where he's making sujood on the stone. Is it allowed?
Second question, please.
And the second question is, could you please explain to me this verse of the Quran which says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في سلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه any of the companions of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in regards to that of the Quran and the Surah Al-Luqman.
I got the ayah, udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. But what is the question? You said explain it, then you said the companions. If you want the tafsir, meaning of the ayah, I'll be happy to provide you with that. Do you have any specific question concerning the ayah?
Yeah, I wonder what are the views of the companions.
Okay, that is enough for now. At least, I barely was able to, extract you a couple questions. We have to take other calls, and inshallah try with the other line. Maybe you would have a better chance and a better connection. So I got both your questions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, Shu'aib. Alhamdulillah. Go ahead.
Sheikh, I have two questions, but similar questions. One is regarding hadith.
Brother Shu'aib, it's very hard to understand your conversation. The voice is terrible. Please try again. All right. So one thing at a time. Brother Hamid from the UK is asking about, first he said, can I pray next to a Shia? Yes, I don't care who's praying next to me. In the haram, I stand next to many people. I don't fetch their hearts. I don't investigate their faith, their madhab, their aqidah. But behind an imam, he must be an imam who believes in Allah and the last day. He believes in all the articles of faith. An imam who does respect, revere, and love all the companions of the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him. Any person, even a person who says he's Sunni, he's preaching the teaching of the Sunni madhab, then in one of his lectures said about Aisha, because it happened, that she's a sinner. Okay? This person should be banned from leading the prayer. He's either ignorant or he knows what he's saying and he's trying to cause trouble in the community. He shouldn't be in the post and in the position. The Imam, as the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ. The Imam was appointed to be followed. It isn't only about leading the prayers and knowing how to pray and beautiful recitation. The Imam is a position of the leadership. So if he happens after the prayer to give a khatira, to explain a verse of the Quran or a hadith, then he quoted something which is fabricated, were to praise one of the companions beyond what Allah the Almighty allowed. First of all, not all Shia are the same. They have various sects and madahib. Some of them are plain astray, evidently astray. They have nothing to do with Islam. You have the Nusayris, you have the Alawis, you have the Ismailis, you have the Agha Khanis, you have the Ithna Ashariya, you have the Zaydiyya. So some of them are close to Ahlul Sunnah, and the differences could be fiqhi issues. And some of them, the differences between them and the mainstream of the Ummah is with regards to the core of belief, with regards to the concept of Iman. Those Imamiyya who believe that the Imams are infallible and are superior to the Prophets, and including Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we tell them, Lakum dinukum waliya din. You guys have your religion and we have our religion. So I don't pray behind a priest. I don't pray behind a Jewish rabbi. We have good relations, we are neighbors, we are co-workers, we have interfaith dialogue. He's not my Imam. I don't attend the khutbah to him. I don't pray behind him. I hope you understand what I'm saying. First of all, the questioner himself. So if I have the chance to look for an imam, I would look for a righteous person who knows what he is reciting. He knows the ahkam of the Quran, the ahkam of the prayer. He respects the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He loves, respects, and reveres all the companions of the Prophet ﷺ and the mothers of the believers. Does not criticize, no hold any of whom is blameworthy, or judge some of the companions as apostates or kuffar. Because if this is the case, I'm not allowed to pray behind them. It's very simple. Barakallahu feekum, jazakallahu khairan. With regards to the ayah that you mentioned, this is an ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, second chapter of the Quran. I believe it is ayah number 208. Allah the Almighty says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا دُخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَّةً وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. This is one of the verses in which Allah the Almighty commands not to follow the footsteps of Satan. And in the beginning He commands the believers, O who you believe, enter into as-silm. The word silm here refers to Islam, the deen. Yani, O who you believed, enter into Islam completely and perfectly and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Indeed, he is to you an open and a clear enemy. What is the meaning of udkhulu fi silmi kaffa? Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa, accept Islam wholeheartedly. Accept Islam entirely. You do not pick and choose. You do not believe in some and you disbelieve in some. You do not accept some and reject some. We have people who say we believe in the Quran but we don't believe in the Sunnah. They have not entered into Islam. We have people who believe in some of the ahkam and they reject others, perhaps because they give precedence to the intellect, to the aql, over what Allah the Almighty has revealed. They say we cannot use this anymore. So by that they have not entered into Islam completely. Entering Islam completely and perfectly means to submit yourself totally to the will of Allah. There is an ayah of Surah An-Nisa, I will quote it after this call inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Muzammil from Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brother, my question is that when a person praying is at the home, is necessary to pray aloud during the...
Which prayer? Is it Maghrib, Isha or Fajr?
It's any prayer. If the person is, for instance, it is, Isha prayer. Is it necessary to pray aloud,
Do you have any other questions?
During the first prayer?
Yeah, Muzammil, you have any other questions?
No, brother.
Got it. Thank you. If you're praying at home or if you're praying in congregation, and if you lead in the prayer or praying by yourself, if it is one of the salawat, namaz, which we call it jahriya. Jahriya, yani if we pray in congregation, the imam would recite out loud. Then for the person who's praying by himself, he gets to recite in a voice that is heard by himself. So I'm not an imam, but praying by myself. So I call the iqamah, even though it's not a jama'ah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. I call the iqamah. Then Allahu Akbar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. It is not very loud, but in a voice which I can hear myself. Barakallahu feek. Same for tahajjud. You may recite it quietly and you may raise your voice because it shares the time of the prayer where you recite it loudly. So I was talking about the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah. Then in Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِمَّا قَضَيْتَ وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Verse number 65, chapter number 4, Allah the Almighty swears to Himself that, O Muhammad, your followers will not truly believe, not until they seek your judgment in any issue that arise between them. Then once you pass a judgment, they do not have any hurt feeling, they do not make any objection, rather they accept the judgment with full submission. وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. So this is also a sign of entering into Islam completely and perfectly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shuja' from India. Assalamu alaikum, Shuja'.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh.
How are you,
Sheikh,
brother?
my question is, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Sheikh. Sheikh, my question is, I'm interested in learning the Deen of Islam, and Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah blessed me with this vision. So my question is, can you give me some tips to successfully study Islam and without any restrictions in my Deen of knowledge? Can you give me some tips of that?
They give you what?
I'm calling from India.
Correct. I got that. You said you're learning your deen and Islamic studies, mashallah. May Allah bless you. So where is the question?
Can you give me some tips to successfully study Deen
Absolutely.
and
Of
become
course.
a good scholar in Islam?
Sure. I'll be more than happy to do that, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fahmi from Afghanistan, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum. Kandahar.
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, I'm from Kabul, Sheikh. I have little
Kabul.
credits. I have a question. Could you talk a little bit on jihad in Afghanistan? Is it allowed or not?
Okay. Barakallahu feek. Jazakallahu khairan. So we're getting callers all the way from Afghanistan, Kabul. And he's asking about jihad, whether it's allowed or not. Okay. Let me tackle Muzammal's questions first. MashaAllah, he is a seeker of knowledge and he wants to have some tips. Subhanallah, let me share with you first what Imam Abu Hanifa said in one of his beautiful, wise statements. He said, من كان شيخه كتابه غلب خطأه صوابه. One whose sheikh is only the book, then most likely his errors will overcome and outnumber and will be more than his correct views. Because basically the person is self-taught. He's teaching himself. He's reading the book and he may get it wrong. He may misunderstand it, and this is very possible. This is very common. Not only in tafsir or sunnah or fiqh, in physics, in science, in pharmacology, in chemistry, you have to have a tutor. You have to have a sheikh, a scholar, somebody to walk you through, right? Then afterward, you have to go through an internship before being able to pass on this knowledge to others. So my advice to you is, number one, you have to study with the proper scholars, tutors, and shuyukh. The first knowledge that you need to acquire is the knowledge of the Quran. Learning how to read the Quran properly, learning the meaning of the Quran to the best of your ability, learning your belief and your creed, yani the science of Aqidah, and this is all easy to achieve. For beginners, along with that, studying the Sunnah, such as studying the collection of Riyadh al-Salihin by Imam Nawawi, okay, or the 40 Nawawi Hadith. I know that in this part of the world, they are more strict to studying the Hanafi madhab. I advise every seeker of knowledge to open up, not to be limited to one madhab. And this is the beauty of studying in a school like in Al-Azhar. You get to study for years a particular madhab, whether Hanafi or Shafi'i or Maliki or otherwise. Then you study the collective and the comparative madhahib, because this is one deen, and they're all the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and the scholars of the mainstream of the Ummah. So do not limit yourself to a particular madhab, and do not imprison yourself in one school of thought. Rather open up to other schools of thoughts of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, so that you will expand your knowledge and you will know where the differences of opinion are coming from, and you will be flexible and you will be able to advise others as well. As far as a school to join, I'm not familiar which part of the world he's calling from India you live in, but I can advise you, since alhamdulillah you were able to reach us online and distant learning has become one of the best tools and means of acquiring any knowledge, good or bad. So now we want to utilize it to learn and seek the true knowledge of the deen. You have many schools that I can recommend for you right now, some of which are paid, such as Mishka University. You would have the authentic, pure knowledge of the deen, the various subjects of belief and creed, religions and doctrines, comparative religions, Islamic pedagogy. You would have Islamic thoughts, refuting misconceptions, Quran, Sunnah, Aqidah, Arabic, Tajweed, Tafsir. It's a complete school, undergraduate and postgraduate until your PhD, mashallah. You can acquire this and get the certificate at the convenience of your home. There is a less paid university, the Online Islamic University, which is run by Dr. Bilal Phillips. And there are many other schools for beginners, such as New Muslim Academy, which is absolutely for free. So you don't have to pay anything. You attend classes and you take quizzes and questions and you pass exams and you get certificates. So knowledge now has become available for everyone by the grace of Allah. May Allah make it easy for you. Make a daily sabaq of the Quran to recite on a regular basis and learn only 10 words every day, 10 vocabulary with their derivatives. By the end of the year, you will find yourself have improved a great deal, tremendously. When it comes to learning how to read Quran, take it from me. Learn it from somebody who is native. With my due respect, you may have the greatest scholars, but when it comes to learning how to recite Quran, it must be from somebody who speaks native Arabic, so that he will not teach you the mistakes. And by the end, you will end up reciting Quran with the same errors, confusing the ayn with the hamza, confusing the ta with the ta, the zay with the dha. So you will be, like a person who's been breastfed from the beginning, the pure knowledge and the pure Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Emmeline from Jordan, Assalamu alaikum. Please try again, Sister Emmeline. I see here that you're asking for the phone number again. So the brothers, I would appreciate if you can show the phone numbers, including the WhatsApp number on the bottom of the screen. Okay? And on the page, it is posted as well. So we will post them once again. Area code 002, then 0238555131. Area code 002, then 0100546932 And the WhatsApp number, area code 001-347-80625. Okay. Sister Salwa Ansari is asking, Assalamu alaikum, is it permissible for a father to refuse adding his family surname to his children's name? Does this equate to not preserving the lineage of a father and the father's? Well, I don't see what is the reason somebody that doesn't want to give his children his family's name. You know, the Prophet ﷺ says, Al-waladu lil-firash. When somebody receives a child and he is married to this woman, any child who's born is their child and he bears his name. If he bears his name, he would bear his name, his father's name, his grandfather's name, the family lineage. So I hope you can explain to us what is the reason. It's something that everybody desires. You know, Prophet Zachary invoked Allah, Rabbi la tadharni fardan wa anta khayrul warithin. He didn't have any sons, he didn't have any children, so he asked for somebody to inherit this heritage. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Brother Mansour from Gambia. Mansour, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I wanted to ask about this dispute within the Islamic regions. Is there any help you can give out so that people can learn from what the religion said about dispute between among ourselves?
Dispute between what? Pardon
our
me.
Islamic
nations.
Our Islamic nation.
Islamic nations?
Right now, there are a lot of people killing one another.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of they don't understand the sin behind killing one another. I would want you to emphasize that, discuss more on that so that people can understand.
Absolutely, inshallah. So that's Mansour from Gambia. Your question is very painful, Mansour. It is very painful to every Muslim. You know, we're praying that Allah will guide our leaders to stop this nonsense, fighting against each other and waging war against each other. But this is the only thing that we can do. We can advise, we can make dua, we can preach. May Allah guide us what is best. I will quote some ayahs from the Quran, inshallah, briefly after I take the following question. Sister Emmeline from Jordan. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Emmeline.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you, Dr. Muhammad?
Doing fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, Sister Emmeline.
Thank you very much. Doctor, I just want to ask if a woman having her monthly period or menstruation can perform ruqyah?
Okay, I got your question.
Yes, that's it.
Any other questions?
No, thank you very much. I'm just following online.
Sure. Now listen to the answer. The ruqyah is one of two types. There is a ruqyah, which is a form of invocation, reciting the ahadith, the invocations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the person may say, As'alullah al-azim, Rabb al-arsh al-azim, an yashfiyak, Allahumma Rabb al-nas, adhib al-bas, ishfi anta shafi. It's all prophetic invocations. So there is a general consensus among all the Muslim scholars, a woman during her menses or even a man during his janaba can recite this ruqyah for himself or for others because it is in Quran. When it comes to the ruqyah of reciting Quran, the mu'awwidhat, ayat al-kursi, surah al-fatiha or any part of the Quran, there is a difference of opinion whether a woman during her menses can recite the Quranic ruqyah or not, based on their differences, which is originated on the fact that many, I would say the vast majority of the Muslim jurists are of the view that women during their menses are not allowed to recite Quran for the purpose of ibadah. But Imam Malik, may Allah have mercy on him, and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal in one of his views, and Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim are of the view that women during their menses should not be banned from reciting Quran, because this is an act of worship which there is no specific or no sound reference which says women during their menses should not read the Quran. The reference which the Jumhur are using is a weak reference. In addition to the analogy is not correct. You say in the case of a man who is in a state of janaba, all what I need to do is just perform ghusl, then I'm clean. But a woman during her menses, she is stuck for 5, 6, 7 days. Why shall we ban her from reading the Quran if we don't have a powerful reference? So according to those set of the scholars, yes, you can recite Quran by heart from your smart device or from a hard copy, but do not touch the Quran with bare hands. You can also recite the ruqyah for yourself or for others. Like if you have children, you have the habit of reciting the mu'awwidhat every night before they go to sleep, you can do that. I'm of this view as well. Before we take a break, our brother Fahmi from Afghanistan is asking about jihad. Jihad is prescribed until the Day of Judgment. And this ummah would remain observing jihad and struggling against the enemies of the deen, the enemies of the state, the Muslim ummah, until the Day of Judgment. Until Imam Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Mahdi will emerge. And then Jesus, the son of Mary, will descend the eastern part of Damascus in the masjid, and he would pray behind al-Mahdi. Then they will both join forces and chase the false messiah, the impostor, to observe jihad. Okay, this ummah is in jihad until the Day of Judgment. Maybe many parts of the ummah are passive, but the Prophet ﷺ said there will be always a party and a group of my ummah who will remain in the form of jihad, supporting the deen, and Allah will make them victorious. لا يضرهم من خالفهم. Everywhere on earth, whenever people are oppressed, by the way, whenever even non-Muslims are oppressed somewhere and they resist this oppression, using raising arms or any possible means, that's called jihad. You know, it's a legitimate war. Jihad for mujahada, which is struggle and resistance. So this is the right which the United Nations nowadays agree to it. Every ummah have the right to defend themselves. Every people, they have the right to resent and to resist any occupation forces and people who want to take away their identity, confiscate their resources, or suppress them. But the way to observe jihad, under which banner, and so on, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man qatala litakuna kalimat Allahi hiya al-ulya, fahuwa fi sabilillah." The only form of jihad which is perceived as for the sake of Allah is when somebody is observing a legitimate jihad, a legitimate war, self-defense, fighting against the enemies on the battlefield, resisting their evil power and forces in order to preserve their religious identity. Fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah, defending the weak and the oppressed. All of that is, sometimes it is declared by the entire ummah, such as when the church declared the crusades against Muslims. The whole ummah were required to defend their holy places and their religious duties and religious identity. That's called what? Jihad. Legitimate 100%, and it is mandatory on every single person, because these evil forces, the crusaders, they have come to our soil, to our land, in order to occupy our lands, in order to change our faith. So Allah gave you not the right, rather He commanded you to fight against them. What does the ayah say in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 190? وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا. And this condition is very important. So fight for the sake of Allah against the enemies who fight against you, but transgress not. Do not target civilians. Do not target homes, places of worship, children and innocent people or women. This is the meaning of وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا. Why? Because إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. Most surely Allah loves not those who transgress. So this is the general answer. If it fits you, then you work according to it. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back inshallah in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned.
يتدبرون القرآن.
One day the Prophet ﷺ came out to the companions radiallahu anhum, and he said to them, "Don't you bear witness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one worthy of worship and He has no partners? Don't you bear witness that I am the messenger of Allah? Don't you bear witness that the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" So the companions radiallahu anhum, they said, "Yes, O Prophet of Allah." Then the Prophet ﷺ said, فَأَبْشِرُوا. Have the glad tidings, the great news as a result of this. Because the Quran has two ends to it. One end with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and one end in your hands. Then he said to them alayhi salatu wassalam, فَتَمَسَّكُوا بِهِ. Hold fast to it, because you would never be led astray and you would never be perished if you're holding fast to the Book of Allah. Because of that, join us every week in Quran in Depth, where we recite and reflect and ponder over the verses of the Quran. We go in depth into the verses, following the ways of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions radiallahu anhum. When they used to take the verses, one set of verses after another, they would recite it, they would reflect upon the meanings of it, and they would act according to it, and then they would go to the next set of verses. Join us every week in Quran in Depth, so that we would recite and reflect and learn more about the Book of Allah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our life and to make us among those who follow the Quran and the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Through the powerfully
vivid, spiritually uplifting, heart-softening, life-changing, soul-transforming descriptions of life after death. We reminded ourselves about the barrier that is placed. So once you leave this world, a barrier is placed behind you, and you are prevented from coming back to this life. Those 2 rak'ahs that you used to pray, you used to take for granted. After you leave this world, there's a barrier. The journey of the soul through the stages of the day of resurrection and the explicit descriptions of hellfire, as well as the beautiful and spiritually uplifting descriptions of paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, we did not create the heavens and the earth without purpose, without aim, without a reason. This is the assumption of those who disbelieve, so beware and woe to those who disbelieve from the hellfire. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us immediately the example of the righteous people on the Day of Judgment. So He says, أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no doubt, verily, the awliya of Allah, the friends of Allah, those who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no fear on them.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the second segment of today's program of Ask Huda. And the phone numbers, as a reminder, should appear on the bottom of the screen. And let's take a few questions. The first question is Sani Ubasharif. He says, there is anything zakat to salary worker, but my monthly salary is nisab limit, and at the end of the year I receive rent or bonus that double my salary. My brothers and sisters, when it comes to the payment of zakat, there is one of 2 ways to do it. Sometimes, people who receive decent salaries, so they like to pay their dues of the zakat on monthly basis. This is permissible. Then by the end of the lunar year, they calculate how much zakah they have paid throughout the year on monthly basis versus the balance. And if nothing is pending or there is no balance, they break even fine. Otherwise, if they still have to pay anything, they pay on the rest, and so on. And the other way is just to wait until the lunar calendar is rounded up. Like for instance, and the lunar calendar yours is different than mine, different than others, because the hawl, the lunar calendar, when it comes to the zakah, doesn't have a fixed date, but rather the date begins when the person starts possessing what is known as a nisab, the value of 85 grams of gold or 595 grams of silver. And let's say that, supposedly it's about 4 grains. So I was a person who didn't have job, I just graduated, and I used to take salary, or I used to take allowance from my parents or from scholarship. Now I started working. In a couple months I've saved $5,000. So now I have $5,000. This is a nisab, or a little bit more. From the day I started possessing this amount, which is equivalent to the nisab or more, I count until the next year around the same day. So when I received the 5,000, or I started possessing the $5,000, it was the 15th of Rajab, for example. As I said, it varies from a person to another based on when did he actually start collecting or possessing that much money. So the 15th of Rajab next year, I look into my possessions. I spent everything because I went for Hajj, I got married, I bought a flat. So you don't owe any zakah. MashaAllah, I started working for 3,000. Now by the end of the year, 15th of Rajab next year, I have 50,000. So I would pay zakah on the 50,000. So what matters? Two things. Nisab, which is the minimum threshold, and the hawl, which is the time. So the nisab has to do with the amount, and the hawl has to do with the time. And the time is based on when you started possessing the nisab, when you actually have that much money. And if you maintain it, or if it increases next year, then you pay on the entire amount. Barakallah fikum. Muhammad El Sindiawi is asking, is there extra intentions for seeking scientific knowledge? It's not about extra intention. It's about just having an intention. There is no intention and extra intention, but there is niyyah. We all know that the Prophet ﷺ said in the sound hadith of Nu'man ibn Bashir, may Allah be pleased with him, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Indeed, all deeds are but by their intentions. A'mal, any amal, whether it is religious or worldly. If it is religious, the niyyah is already there because I'm offering this act of worship to fulfill my duties towards my Creator. If it is something worldly, I'm studying medicine. Why? Because we have a doctor who's in the neighborhood. He drives Lamborghini and he's married to a girl 20 years younger than him, and she's like a beauty queen. Because of that, I decided to become a doctor. That's a corrupt intention. This is pure dunya. So you study, you go, you come, you work, you get no reward whatsoever. It's dunya, pure materialistic. Once you took your mom to the doctor and you figure that he has a sign that says that all patients who cannot afford to pay, you don't have to pay. It's for free, free medical. And they even give them medications, free medications from the samples. You were very impressed and you said, I've got to become a doctor. I got to do like this man. I like what he's doing. Is this a good intention? Of course that's a good intention. Helping people, fulfilling their needs, assisting those who are in need is one of the most praiseworthy acts before Allah the Almighty. أحب الأعمال إلى الله قضاء وحوائج الناس. Helping people to fulfill their needs, to take care of their needs, is the dearest act to do in order to be loved by Allah. The dearest act to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is helping people, helping others. So this is an intention. You ask your daughter, when your mother was pregnant, we were looking for a female gynecologist, an obstetrician, and we couldn't find. It was very problematic. So I would like for you to be an obstetrician. So she studied medicine for this intention, to help the Muslim women. That's a good intention, okay? The intention is not only what you talk about, it is what you planned and formulated in your heart and mind. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Shihab from the United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. Sheikh, I want to ask, is it possible to draw cartoons? And can you explain more about the hadith that says that the people who will be punished most on the Day of Judgment are those who are the image makers?
Yes, this hadith and many similar hadith are sound hadith. So the scholars said this is pertaining to creating images to living creatures, including human beings, animals, and so on. There are some exceptions, such as drawing an incomplete picture, especially for cartoons, comics, for the children, for education purposes, and so on. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Maryam from the KSA, welcome to Ask Huda, Sister Maryam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm Maryam calling from Saudi.
Okay.
Yes. How are you, Sheikh?
Doing fine. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, Sister Maryam. What is your question, please?
Yes. Yes. My question, Sheikh, is that during the month of the Hajj, on the 10th day, I used to slaughter my own rams.
Mm-hmm.
Then I used to for my late parents. Sometimes I slaughter one for two of them. Sometimes I slaughter two for each of them. So, Sheikh, I didn't know, am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Because they are not alive. I always ask Allah to reward them with what I've slaughtered for them.
Okay, so basically you're offering a sacrifice on Eid al-Adha for somebody who passed away, correct?
I want to know if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
Okay. I got your question, Sister Maryam. Barakallahu feek. The question is, can somebody offer a qurbani, an udhiyah, or a sacrifice, especially on Eid al-Adha, for somebody who passed away? Number one, it is not required because the udhiyah is only for the living. Number two, is it acceptable? Yes, it is acceptable. My intention is to grant the reward of distributing the meat to my late whoever, loved one, friend, parents, child, spouse. Is that permissible? Yes, that is permissible and acceptable. May Allah reward you, Sister Maryam, for that. Naira Barwin, Sister Parween is asking, as we know that face shouldn't be covered during Ihram, does it require any action? I would like to know if someone during early morning hours of Hajj, during Hajj, they uses eye folds for short resting before Dhuhr. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Irfana from India. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Irfana. Welcome to Ask Huda.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Dr. Salah. I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Yani, like when we go for Hajj, few days before Hajj, first we go to Makkah, we perform Umrah, and after staying for a few days, we go to Medina, and just 2 days before Hajj, we come back to the outskirts of Makkah, like Azizia. So, my question is, when we come back from Medina, from where should we make our intention to perform Hajj or Umrah, and is it compulsory to make an intention, or can we come to Azizia and make an intention for Umrah? So can you please guide me on it?
That's a very good question, and thank you for presenting this question right now, Sister Irfana from India. And may Allah accept your Hajj. All of those who are going for Hajj, please include us in your dua. First of all, if any person is going for Hajj and they go to Mecca first, so to perform Umrah, then that means they will be doing Hajj al-Tamattu or Hajj al-Qiran. You shouldn't cross the miqat without making the intention. Most likely you will be in the flight and you will hear the pilot saying that we are passing by the miqat. So you say, Labbaika Umratan. You finish your Umrah, you stayed in Mecca, then you went to Medina for a visit. You stayed in Medina, and now you're returning back to Mecca. Returning back to Mecca for what reason? To do Hajj. You shall not cross the miqat of the people of Al-Medina without making ihram. And the miqat for Medina is the Hulayfa or Abyar Ali. So, but Sheikh, there is 5 days left. I'm not going to Mecca itself, or I'm going to stay in Aziziyah. Aziziyah is in Mecca, by the way, okay, within the Haram. So you shall not enter Mecca, you shall not even cross the miqat without making an intention. What intention? Well, you have the choice. If you're going like on the 7th, if you're going like on the 8th, so just make an intention for Hajj, because you've done Umrah already, so now it will be Hajj al-Tamattu. But if you're going a couple days before, then make a new intention of performing Umrah. Do another Umrah. This is 100% legitimate now. Many people ask, can I do another Umrah? Now it is perfectly legitimate to do another Umrah. So you make an intention to do Umrah, you enter Mecca, you perform your Umrah, Tawaf and Sa'i, then you take off your Ihram and you sit there in peace until the 8th day where you make a new intention from Aziziyah, from Mecca, from Mina, where you say labbayka hajjan. But you shall not enter Mecca without ihram. Well, I don't think I'll be able to do Umrah. I just want to go to Aziziyah straight ahead. Fine. Then from the miqat in Dhul Hulayfa, you say labbayka hajjan, and you are now in a state of ihram for 5 days. It depends on when will you be entering the haram and going to Aziziyah. And you stay in ihram until you finish Arafah, you return from Muzdalifah to Mina, and once you throw the first 7 pebbles of Jamratul Aqabah al-Kubra and do tahallul, now you exit partly from the condition of ihram. Bottom line, if you're going to Mecca for Umrah or Hajj, you should never cross the miqat without making an ihram intention. Brothers and sisters, by that we've come to the end of today's edition of your program. Ask Huda, and until next episode, I ask Allah the Almighty to protect you all against every evil. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech.